Well, hello and welcome to Assay TV. Today, I'm delighted to be joined from Denver by the chairman and CEO of Vox Royalty, Kyle Floyd. Kyle, great to see you today. Tell us a little bit about the company. Vox Royalty is quite a new player in the royalty space, founded in 2014, I believe, but from sort of 2019, the company has really accelerated, acquiring, I think, 40 royalties in the past year or so. Tell us, what makes Vox Royalty different from other royalty companies out there?
Yeah, well, thank you, Leo, for having us. It's a privilege to be with you. Vox Royalty, really, since we started, was created to do things differently in the royalty sector. And we built a business around creating intellectual property, creating deal sourcing agents around the world that would allow us to find really quality assets that in some cases were forgotten about or not known about, and be able to find those opportunities and bring those into a portfolio. And then really underpinning that is a significantly technically focused management team, 2 mining engineers, 2 geologists, that really allow us to understand asset quality first and foremost. So we've been able to really go around the world looking for high quality assets that have royalties over them and bring those into the portfolio at very good value for our investors.
Can you take us through the process of how you go about acquiring these assets? What are the criteria?
Yeah, the criteria really centers around what's quality of asset. We're a precious metals focused royalty company. So we're primarily looking for precious metal royalties. Occasionally in that hunt, we find great royalties over other hard rock commodities that still fall into the mandate, but are less of a focus. So precious metals is what we're mainly looking for. We're looking for assets where we believe a development curve is going to be exceeded, that things are going to develop ahead of schedule for that asset. Whether that's resources or reserves increased, if it's in production, production is increased, and fundamentally looking for what we believe are very quality assets that have those royalties existing over them. And that's really kind of the first layer of our process. After that, we're starting to look at what are the deal terms, what's the value of that royalty, are we bringing it into the portfolio at a highly accretive level for our investors? And so it takes all of those things to line up for us to close on a transaction. But with the volume of transactions that we're able to really analyze around the world, we're able to really be quite, certainly quite precise and also quite disciplined on what assets we're bringing into the portfolio.
At what stage in the development curve do you invest? I mean, I understand you have a few producing mines, but also you look at exploration as well?
We do. So we have royalties over 4 production stage assets now. We expect that to go close to 9 as we exit 2021 on a purely organic basis. So we have one of the fastest growth rates in terms of how many assets we have royalties over that are actually in production. We will selectively look at exploration assets. There's great value found with our geologists and our mining engineers. We're able to really understand the quality of those assets and project those out multiple years down the road and see value being created in those assets for us when we have royalties over them. But our primary focus is typically assets that are near or about to enter production.
Sure. And you mentioned, I mean, you're mostly focused on precious, but you've recently done a deal, I believe, on a vanadium royalty with Bushveld.
Correct. That was a really exciting royalty acquisition for us. Again, our search starts looking for precious metals, but when we're led into different avenues where we find great projects, great operators with a very interesting hard rock commodity that we believe the long-term forecasts are going to be very bullish for, those opportunities are hard for us to pass up. And so that was a very interesting royalty over the Brits deposit that forms part of Bushveld's complex, which is one of the highest grade operations from a primary vanadium standpoint in the world. So it was an opportunity to get access and a royalty over a very, very quality project that we expect to be in production on a relatively near-term basis.
In terms of following sort of commodity prices and things like that, obviously precious metals has had a good run this year, but it's sort of come off a little recently. Battery metals and things like vanadium maybe are on the up from here. Do you look at commodity prices? How much does that factor into your decisions?
Yeah, Leo, that's a really good question. We typically use a long-term price deck that's certainly discounted when metal prices have run in recent past. So it's we're not really price forecasters. And one of the things that we really look for are quality assets. Everyone says it. Every royalty company wants to believe that they're buying assets at the low end of the cost curve. But we're truly looking for assets and finding those assets that we believe are at the lower end of the cost curve. And that affords us the ability to really look at, okay, what are the fundamental qualities of this project over the long term? And we're a little bit less sensitive to fluctuations in metal price.
And in terms of jurisdictions, you're quite focused on Australia. Why Australia?
Well, Australia, we believe, is the best mining jurisdiction on the planet as a whole. So for us, we believe long-term we're going to generate a premium valuation by continuing to find great royalties over predominantly, certainly for us in Australia, what are our precious metal assets. We believe that those will garner a premium multiple, similar to what Nevada does for some of the larger royalty players in North America. And so Australia is really a focus because it starts with great mineral endowments. It has great infrastructure. It has great rule of law as it pertains to royalties. And then we have great network and intellectual property that covers assets with royalties on them in Australia. So it's kind of really a culmination of a bunch of different factors, or confluence of a bunch of different factors, where we have a competitive advantage in that market. And we also happen to believe that it is the best market for royalties and the best mining jurisdiction. So it's certainly been a focus for us that we've taken advantage of, and we've built what we believe is the second largest hard rock royalty portfolio outside of Franco-Nevada on the continent.
All right. And I suppose for a royalty company, it's very important that the royalties eventually pay off. So you're going to be looking at jurisdictions that have lower risk and higher chance of these projects coming to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, we will selectively, obviously, we now have a royalty in South Africa. We have a royalty over a very exciting gold project in Nigeria. We believe that because 80% of our assets are tied to what we would call tier one mining jurisdictions, Australia, Canada, the US, that we can selectively look at jurisdictions that might not be considered tier one, but where we have a lot of confidence in the project and the operator. And certainly the horizon that we can see the jurisdiction itself from a rule of law as it relates to royalties and those assets. So we will selectively look outside of Australia and the Americas when we believe the value for the risk that we're taking adds up. But yeah, we're a very globally focused firm.
Sure. And so what does the next 6 months hold for Vox Royalties?
We're really excited about the next 6 months, Leo. We've got what we believe is the deepest pipeline in the industry. We've led the industry in growth since 2019. That's certainly set for us to continue that growth. We're seeing really a compounding effect on the momentum that we have in terms of generating new royalty opportunities that really move the needle for our business and for our investors. So the next 6 months looks very exciting organically. So royalties already in the portfolio. We believe we're going from 4 to 9 or more production stage assets as we exit 2021. That growth is really unheard of at an organic level for a royalty company at our stage. So we're really excited about that very tangible, concrete growth that our portfolio is realizing. And then we have a host of projects where we have royalties over them that have that elephant potential. Very, very large projects, very interesting projects that are being moved forward by the operators from exploration more into development stage, where we're starting to be able to get a more narrow scope on when those projects are going to be put in production. So overall, both from an acquisitive standpoint and an organic standpoint, the growth in Vox, I believe, is going to impress a lot of investors out there as we continue to execute.
The elephant projects you talk about, which ones are those?
Yeah, one in particular we're really excited about is Ashburton. So that was a project that was held by Northern Star. It came to us as part of a broader royalty portfolio acquisition. And we took the viewpoint that it sits right now at almost 2 million ounces of inferred gold at around 2 grams per ton. It wasn't big enough for Northern Star, but by our perspective, a 2 million ounce resource that has a lot of extension potential. The operator's target now is around 3 million ounces. That's an elephant for us. That's multiple $1 million of potential revenue. And but we took the informed position that at some point Northern Star would sell that asset. When they did, if it was to a more nimble junior, that would really ramp it on this development curve. So sure enough, Kalamazoo Resources bought that project. We think it was a great buy on their part. And they are doing conducting a 7,000 meter drill program as we speak. So we're excited to see what comes of those results. They've set some pretty lofty exploration targets We also have a royalty over the Bowden Silver Project in Australia. It's the largest developing primary silver project in all of Australia. That's coming forward aggressively. And then the Pedra Branca, very large PGM project. It's the largest developing platinum group metals project in all of South America. That has a chance to be an absolute world-class ore body and continues to be drilled and developed by the operator Valore. So we've got a few of those elephants in the portfolio as well that are at that development stage that we expect to have a little bit more granularity on when those assets can be in production and what those will look like here in the relatively near future. So lots to be excited about.
Fantastic. An exciting year ahead for Vox Royalty. So thank you very much, Kyle, for joining me today. Great to speak with you.
Yeah, thank you, Leo. It was our privilege, and thank you for having us.
Thanks.